Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about the books that this year I thought were the best that I read and my favourites. And yeah, let's just get into the video because that's self-explanatory. So surprisingly, not all the books on here are fiction, which shocks me. But I'm kind of happy about because it shows that I'm reading out of my comfort zone. And yeah, so the first book is Big Magic, and this book I actually have right here with me because I am this much into it, but I know it's great already. Like, this chunk is a 5 out of 5 so far, and this book I would recommend to anyone that does any sort of creative work. If you write, if you're an artist, if you dance, if you sing, because it's going to change your whole like thoughts on creative writing in general. Not creative writing, creative living basically. And honestly, it's just so captivating. Like, the minute I opened it, I like can't put it down. I have to like force myself to put it down because honestly it's just something I never thought would be so like eye-opening, but it is. So that's definitely a good book. And by the way, none of these are in order that I put them in. They're just random because there's different things I like about them and I can't compare them. So number 2 is Friend Request. Oh my god, this book, it was so good. I loved it so much. So I read this like very quickly, and it's basically about this girl who gets a friend request from this girl she used to go to school with called Maria. And when she gets this friend request, she's shocked because Maria has been missing since they were kids and they've never found her, and they all just assumed she was dead. And it's especially scary for her because back in school she didn't treat Maria the best, so she's like, oh my god, why is she coming back for me, like what's gonna happen to me, etc, etc, etc. And the reason I love this book was because it was just actually like crazy. Like, it had the biggest plot twist. I did not see it coming. I was honestly on the end of my seat the whole time, and I was like flipping pages because I just wanted to get to the end and find out what happens. It's generally one of those books which is really fast paced but also has slow moments, which I think is a perfect balance. Like, it's not all so fast ahead that you're just like, whoa, 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 what happened? But it's like broken up in the right way to keep the pace really good, like good speed. It's definitely why I did enjoy it. Number 3 is A Long Way Down. Okay, this book is told in verse, so it's poems, and it was just one of the really good books. I did it really well. Like, I just found myself following the story, and it's basically set in an elevator, and by the end, main character has to come to realization. Each floor, someone new enters the lift who like reveals something else. That's the best way I can describe it without like any spoilers. And it's like after the main character's brother has just passed away because he got shot, and he's come to terms with that, and this is a way of helping him come to terms with that. And as the lift goes down, more and more people enter, and it was just like, I feel like the way it was told in the poem form kind of like gave you that feeling of you going actually down, and that's what made it so good and so relatable, if that makes sense. Like, I can't describe it, but you have to read it. All these books have got 5 out of 5 from me, so don't worry about the rating, they're all 5 out of 5. I just think this book, it was one that people told me to read, but I was kind of like uneasy because a lot of books with the poetry now I just can't read and don't really enjoy that much, but this one's definitely one of the good ones. Number 4 is one where I find a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, and not many are fans of this book, but I love it. That's Dear Evan Hansen. I really, at first, like, first thing I ever heard was one of the songs from the soundtrack before I even knew they were going to have a book about the Broadway show. And then when I just listened to the songs, I was like, whoa, this sounds like a really good musical. So when the book came out, I just wanted to read it. So I read the book and I loved the book so much. And then it was nice because when I was reading the book, I kind of link it with the songs, and that was really like a nice moment for me. And I rewatched the Broadway show, but I just haven't got round to it, and also it's a lot of money to watch her Broadway show. And it is coming to the West End in London, so I want to, but really high doubt I'm going to get to watch it. But definitely the book kind of gave me an overall idea, and it was just a really nice story, just a way to see how you can feel close to someone even if you never really knew them, and sometimes you wish once they're gone that you could have got to know them. The book is just basically about this boy called Evan, who ends up lying that he used to be friends with this guy called Connor, who ends up committing suicide. And it was just a way of seeing him grow in himself and realise that what he did was wrong, but not be able to go back on it because, you know, like, he's too far into it and it's going to hurt too many people. And it's a great kind of coming of age story, I think. And number 5 is Monsters of Men. This is a trilogy, and oh my gosh, this trilogy is amazing. So it's about this world where men, there's no women, and you can hear men's thoughts. All the men can hear each other's thoughts. And then they find out, the main character finds out that he can basically, it becomes a story of him trying to fight for what he believes in, and he knows when he comes of age he's gonna have to be a fighter, and he's not really into that. And I just can't describe it, you know what I mean? Where there's 3 books, they're also emotional, you just have to read them to understand. That's why I'm having such a trouble to explain what the books are about, because it's just more of an experience. That's why I like this book, because it's just like, I went on a roller coaster, I listened to them on audiobook, and every time they would come on I was like tearing up. I was like and so many things happened that I just didn't see coming and didn't want to happen. I was like begging the book not to let it happen, but you know when you know it's gonna happen, so you just gotta let it happen and stop begging. Yeah, that's what this book was for me. And the next one is Dry by Neil Schusterman. This book, wow, that's all I have to say. It's when the world runs out of water and there's no rain coming and they're drying up basically, and these group of kids end up meeting and they have to try and survive it by themselves, survive this whole ordeal alone. This book was so much better than I expected. I heard very mixed opinions about it, but I read it with full faith that it was going to be good, and it did not disappoint. I was like the whole time just like really like, again, flipping so fast, and that's kind of one thing I realised about me. If I like a book, I'll like read it really like swiftly and quite quickly, and that's definitely the case with this book. This one is Educated by Tara Westover. Wow, that's what I have to say about this book. This book was another non-fiction book, and it's about this girl who her father doesn't believe in education, so her whole education has been at home and not at school. Then she ends up, she tells us about her life and what it's like growing up in a family that's not very conventional, but definitely there's still love there and there's still care. Not all great families have to be conventional, and that was like a really eye-opening kind of thing to read, and to see how much some people are willing to fight for education and how important it is to those that don't have it. And the last one is I'm Thunder by Mohammed Khan. This is probably, if I had to put a book first, is probably the one that's affected me the most. It's about this girl who's a Muslim girl, and she is really going through this identity crisis. She doesn't really know where she belongs and what kind of person she wants to be. And so she meets this guy. I don't know, all books go like this. And he like starts to teach her about stuff, and then she gets mixed up in some bad stuff. I don't want to spoil too much, but honestly, if there's any book on here that I beg you, implore you to read, is this one, because it left me in tears and I had a bit of laughter, and I was just going through so many emotions. As with many of these books, but this one was just like the strongest. I think it's all that stuck with me the most. Like, I just feel it. Like, I think about this book at least once a day. Like, I was like, oh wow, I want to read that book again. It's definitely one that's really touched my heart and one that's close to me, so definitely pick that up. And if you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, comment down below if you've read any of these books and what your opinions were, and remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.